Hello. Moving on now, we're going to walk through how to create a load balancer to route traffic between our auto-scaling groups in our VPC. So we're going to start by creating the module for it. So I'll create a new folder and I'll call it ALB. It's going to be an application load balancer. And within that, I'm going to create 3 files like we've been doing. So main.tf outputs.tf and variables.tf. I always create the reference file for anyone who wants to download it and work along. So I'm gonna copy the reference file which I created so we can follow along, and then I'll comment it out in my main.tf. I'll paste it, and we'll be ready to start filling this out and working on our application load balancer. I'm gonna save all. I'll close the reference. I'll drag the variables to the side, and I'll close the outputs for now. So to begin, the first resource we're creating is the application load balancer, and here's the resource type and the reference name. So we're gonna call this our project name dash application load balancer. So it's gonna read PCI dash DSS application load balancer. So for that, I'll reference our project. Remember, before I reference it, I'm gonna just show you where I'm getting the project name from. So in the VPC, we created our project name and we outputted it. So it's gonna be this name. So I'll copy it. I'll go back to the main.tf. I'll paste it here. And then don't forget you have to create the variables for every module. So I'll create that variable. And I'm just gonna copy a few, copy and paste, so I don't have to create a variable every time. And the first variable I'm gonna create is gonna be the project name. So I'll paste that in there, project name, and I'll just edit it out. There we go. The next argument is internal, and we're gonna type in false. The next argument says load balancer type, and it's gonna be an application load balancer. So we'll type in application. The next argument is security group. Remember, we created our security groups in the security group module, and we outputted the name. So I'm just gonna find the application load balancer security group name. So I'm going to copy this. I'll go back to the main.tf and I'll reference it. I type in var dot and I'll paste this value, and then I'll create the variable for it. The next argument is subnet. Remember, we created the subnets in the VPC module and we outputted the information. So if I actually, maybe I should drag this. I can probably have it in the middle, so 3 screens. So we're in subnet. So we created a subnet in the VPC module, and we're gonna be routing traffic through the public subnets. So if I go into VPC, the output in VPC actually, and I copy the value for the public subnet AZ1, and I reference it by typing var dot and paste it. I put a comma, space, var dot, and paste it, because we're just gonna edit out the 1 to 2. So I'll just delete this 1 and put a 2, and then I'll create the variables for them. So I did that kind of fast. So what I've done is we created the subnets in the VPC module and outputted the information. So what I did to reference it is I copied the subnets that's outputting the public subnet AZ1 and public subnet AZ2 because that's where we're going to be routing traffic through with our load balancer. So I copied that and I pasted it, and then I changed the 1 to 2 for the public subnet AZ2. And then the next argument says enable deletion policy. And for the value, we're going to type in false. The next argument is tags, and we're going to name it our project name dash application load balancer. So I'll just copy this. I'll paste it here. So it's going to read project name dash application load balancer. And this is all we need to create our load balancer. The next resource we need to create here will be the target group. And this is the resource type and the reference name. I'm gonna close this outputs for now. So the first argument is name. We're gonna reference it by our project name dash target group. So we already have the project name in the variable, so I'll call it var dot project name. The next argument is target type, and for that we're gonna call it IP. And for the port is gonna be 80. And for protocol, it's gonna be HTTP. And for the VPC ID, remember in the main.tf for our VPC or in the outputs, we outputted the VPC ID, so it's gonna be this value. So I'm going to copy this and I'll reference it by typing var dot, and I'll paste that in there, and then also I'll create the variable for it. And then the next will be the health check. This is the default values we get from AWS. So I'm not gonna change anything. I'm just gonna leave that as it is. And the next value will be create before destroy. And for that, I'll type true. Now moving on, the next resource on our list here we need to create is a listener on port 80 with redirect action. And here's the resource type and the reference name I've given it. So for the load balancer ARN, we created our load balancer up here. So I'm gonna copy this to the end, paste it here, take away the quotes and replace it with a period at the end or another period and type ARN. The next argument is port, and we're gonna be listening on 80. Protocol, it's HTTP. So default action is redirect, basically meaning that every time we get traffic coming in on port 80, redirect it to port 443 with HTTPS. So the next resource we're going to be creating is a listener on port 443 with forward action. The first argument is load balancer ARN, which we just stated over here. So I'm going to copy it and I'll paste it here. And port will be 443. Protocol this time will be HTTPS. Certificate ARN, remember in ACM we created our certificate in the ACM module. So if I go find it, outputs, oh, it's gonna be this module. I'm looking at the wrong thing. So it's gonna be this value. So I'll copy it back to the main.tf. I'll reference it by typing var dot, paste that, and then create the variable for it. The next argument is default action of type. We're going to type in forward in quotes. The next argument is target group ARN, and we created the target group up here. So I'm going to copy the resource type and reference name. Scroll down. I'll paste it here. And then I'll take away the quotes, include my period. At the end, I'll include another period and type ARN. So this is everything that we currently need to create our load balancer. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna save my work, and then we'll proceed. So moving on, we're gonna output a couple resources in which we're gonna need in a different module. So what I'm gonna do is I'll close this variable. I'll close this output and this as well. I'm just gonna consolidate this so we don't have a lot of different things open. I'm gonna close this as well. So I'll open the outputs.tf to the side and also the main.tf. The first thing we're gonna want to output here is gonna be application load balancer target group ARN. So I'll begin by typing output, copy that. Then I'm just gonna create the value. It's gonna make it much quicker if I can type correctly. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm just gonna paste it, make 3 different copies of it. So the first resource we're gonna create will be our ALB target group ARN, and we created our target group right here. So I'm gonna copy the resource type, the reference name, copy it. I'll go ahead and paste it here. At the end, I'll type .arn, and then I'll take away this quote and replace them with a period. So the value should read AWS ALB target group dot ALB target group dot ARN. The next resource we're going to output will be ALB DNS name. So we're gonna call this output our application load balancer DNS name. So application load balancer underscore DNS underscore name. And the value, we're gonna get it from our application load balancer. So I'll copy that resource type and reference name. I'll paste it. I'm also going to take away the quotes, add a period, and at the end I'll add another period and type DNS underscore name. And the last value in which we're gonna output will be our application load balancer zone ID. So I'll type this, type zone ID, and we can just copy this value all the way to DNS name and paste it, and then type zone ID. What? So those are the 3 resources that we need to output, because we're gonna need this in a different module, and we're gonna move on now. So now I'm gonna save everything, and then I'll create the module for it under our project folder here. So I'll go to the main.tf. Actually, I'm gonna close this and the outputs as well. So I'll open the main.tf for this, and also I will open the variables.tf to the side right here. So now I'm gonna first begin by typing in my note. So it's gonna be create ALB, and the first argument Then I'm gonna type it. It's gonna be module. Autocomplete it, and I'll type ALB. Oh, application load balancer. And the first argument, of course, will be source, and the value will be two directories up. That's models slash ALB. And the next argument would be every variable that we created here in the variables in the module for the application load balancer. So I'll copy everything and then I'll paste them here, and then I'll clean it up. And then I'll copy this, replace it with space, enter, so replace it all. And then I'll just clean up this code. And now we're ready to begin filling out the information. Okay, so for project name, we're gonna reference the VPC module. So module dot VPC dot, and I'm just gonna copy this and paste it. Application load balancer security group ID. We're gonna reference the security group module. So it's gonna be module dot security groups dot application load balancer security group ID. It's gonna be this. Next argument is public subnet AZ1 ID. So this is gonna be module dot VPC dot, and I'm just gonna copy this. Paste it. And I'm gonna copy this as well. And do the same. The next argument here is VPC ID. So I'll copy the VPC ID, reference the VPC module for that, add a period, and then paste it. And the certificate ARN will be in the ACM module. So it's gonna be module, not nodule, but module dot ACM dot certificate ARN, and make sure to close out the bracket. And yeah, that's all that we need currently in this main.tf in our project folder to create our application load balancer. So now I'm going to save everything. Save all. I don't think we have any errors. And we don't need to update any information in the .tf-vars file because we didn't add any new information in it for the project. So we don't need to add anything in the .tf-vars, neither do we need to add anything in the variables.tf. So I'm just gonna close that as well. Close this, and in our new project, in our project folder here, I'm just gonna right click and open an integrated terminal, and then always type Terraform .fmt to format it. Oh, there we go. It's formatted, and then the next we're gonna type in Terraform in it. So it's just gonna initialize, and then I'm gonna type in Terraform plan, and it's gonna give me a plan. Well, I have an error in which I'm gonna take a look at. Okay, so let's take a look at the issue. I think I know what it is. So if I go back to the main.tf, it's this issue right here where it says HTTP. I need to have this in quotes. So I'm just gonna change that into quotes and then I'll save it. I'll go back to the terminal and I'm just gonna reinitialize. Clear my screen. Let's see. I have another error. So I've done some research. I think the issue is I'm using the wrong alphanumeric keys in my Terraform.tf file, and for application load balancers, you exclusively have to use dashes and not underscores for some reason. But let's give it a try and see if this works. If not, I'm gonna have to do some more debugging. So let me try again. Actually, I need to save it. It's gonna give me the same issue. So I gotta save it first, and then let's try again. So everything is good. It's just a few resources are gonna have to be updated because I have changed that Terraform.tf file. So if you get this information saying that it has to be replaced, don't worry about it. It's just a basic error. It's gonna be okay. And yeah, that's all that we need to create our application load balancer. And I will see you guys shortly in the next lecture.